Hello guys, welcome to a new video. In this video we're gonna review Canon 60D DSLR camera. It's a pretty old camera. This was launched back in 2010, but still it is a great camera. It can take great photos and you can also make really nice videos using this camera. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please press the subscribe button and also the bell icon, because in this channel you're gonna find a lot of nice useful tutorials related to photography and also all the camera reviews and the lenses review as well. So let's begin the video guys. So this is how this camera looks like. I'm gonna show you a close-up pretty soon. This was launched in 2010, so it's almost 11-year-old camera. If we talk about the technical specification for this camera, this one is having 18 megapixel sensor. So it's a fairly nice sensor. 18 megapixel is not too less and not too much. You can do great professional work with 18 megapixel. And the kind of features that this camera has, it is kind of semi-professional. You can even do professional work using this camera because it has a lot of buttons, a lot of nice control dial, and it has a weather sealed body as well. If we talk about the weight of this camera, it's around 750 gram and it's very nice to hold on to. It has a very nice grip. When you hold in your hand, you feel like you are holding on to something really nice and chunky, and the grip is solid. It doesn't feel like that it will fall from your hand, and the ergonomics and everything, it feels actually great in your hand, and when you use it, it is also a pleasure to use. If we talk about the ISO range for this camera, it is from 100 to 6400, but you can expand it to 12,800 as well. But the low light performance from this camera is pretty decent. You can take great images with this. I'm gonna put the sample photos that I've taken with this camera soon in the video. If you talk about the frame per second of this camera, it can shoot 5 frames per second, so not too less and not too much. So this is not the best camera if you want to use it for like sports photography or action photography or wildlife. So this is not the camera for that, but 5 frames per second would be good enough if you want to do portrait photography or landscape photography. That's a pretty nice. And this is a crop sensor camera, so of course it has a 1.6 time crop factor that all the crop sensor cameras from Canon have. If you talk about the autofocus point on this camera, it has 9 autofocus point and all of them are cross type. And in photography the autofocus works fine, not that great in the video, but I would come to that later. If we talk about the video aspect for this camera, so it can shoot full HD 30 frames per second, and the video that we get from this camera looks really nice. The colors and everything looks really awesome. And this camera also, it has a microphone jack, so you can connect external microphone into this camera and you can record really nice videos and the audio as well. If we talk about the screen on this camera, it has a fully articulating 3-inch screen, and the screen is pretty nice, but it is not a touch screen, so that is one disadvantage. If we compare this with 70D, 70D has a touch screen and also 70D has a dual pixel autofocus technology, but this camera doesn't have that, so the autofocus in the video doesn't work that great. And you would be able to figure out when I put the sample video that I've taken with this camera. And if you are using this lens, it doesn't provide continuous autofocus in the video, so it doesn't track your face. I mean, it does the tracking of the face, but every time you want to track, you have to engage it using this shutter button. It will not automatically track your face and keep it in focus. So that is one thing to keep in mind if you want to do like self vlogging. So this is not a great camera for that because it will not continuously track your face. But once you have set the focus point on something, like if you want to record video like me, talking head kind of video, if you have yourself in focus once, so it will remain in focus. So basically it is lacking this AF servo option that many of the Canon cameras like Canon 600D or 650D has, because in that AF servo it can continuously track your face, but this one doesn't have that. So that is a miss on this camera. The dynamic range on this camera is 11.2, so it's not that great. It's poor in that aspect, so it is not the best camera for landscape photography if you are looking for something like that. It can connect off camera flash, so that is one feature that this camera has that 70D doesn't have. So you can connect off camera flash on this one, but on 70D you cannot. And if you talk about like the battery life on this one, so once you charge the battery you can very easily take around 600 shots. So the battery life is great on this camera, guys. Now I'm gonna put into the screen some of the photos that I've taken with this camera, and believe me guys, the photos that I took with this camera are mind-blowing. So while I'm talking you can also see the photos that I've taken. And I used the 40mm f2.8 STM lens instead of this 1855mm lens that I am having currently on it, and the images that I got from that lens and this camera were simply stunning, and I was blown away by the photos. So I can highly recommend this camera for photography. Even in low light situation it can take great images. So for photography I'll give my thumbs up for this camera. You can do great job. You can use it in studio as well because it can connect off camera flash, so it can be a really nice alternative if you want a backup body for yourself in the studio. And you can do professional work with this one, guys. Now I'm gonna put onto the screen the sample video that I've taken with this camera. And as I told you before, this camera doesn't have dual pixel autofocus. So the 70D, the successor to this camera, did have the dual pixel autofocus, but this camera don't have it. So don't expect great autofocus in video, okay guys. But in photography the autofocus is pretty fine. It does the job really very well. So now you can see the sample video that I've taken with this camera. Hello guys, right now I'm using the 40mm f2.8 STM prime lens with a Canon 60D, and whatever audio that you are listening right now is directly from the built-in mic on the camera. And you can already see the colors and the sharpness that you are getting out of this camera. It's really very awesome. The autofocus is also very snappy. I will try to autofocus on this board, and yeah, right now it's in focus and you can see it looks tack sharp, and the background is also slightly blurred out. So I would also try to show some more scenario. For example, I have this leaf here, so I would try to focus on this leaf, and then we will be able to see the kind of background blur we can get out of this. So you can see now this leaf is in focus and the background blur looks really awesome. See, everything is totally blurred out, and since I am using this STM lens, so it is kind of virtually silent, so it's very ideal for video. And the autofocus in this camera performs really very well, and the sensor is pretty good. You have so many controls, and it also have a flip out screen, so it's very very good for making a video if you want to do self vlogging. So now I'm trying to focus on the background, and it focuses very smoothly. It doesn't hunt like the previous older Canon cameras, even though this one doesn't have dual pixel autofocus, but it doesn't hunt like those cameras. And also this STM lenses, personally I really like the video that I've taken with this camera. If you exclude the autofocus issue, then this can be a great camera because it has a flip out screen, so at least you can see yourself. And if you are comfortable in using manual focus, then you can make really nice cinematic videos with this camera. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna show you a close-up of this camera, how it looks like. So this is how it looks like from the top, and from the back it looks like it looks like this. From the top it looks like this, and from the front it looks like this. Nice camera. And here you can put the SD card, and on this side you have the microphone port and the HDMI port and the USB port. So it's a nice camera. You can connect external mic to this. It has all the ports that you need. On the top you have like dedicated buttons for changing all the different settings. You have a top LCD screen as well where you can see all your settings. And if you see the back of the camera, so you have an extra dial, so it makes things a little bit easier when you're playing around with the settings. So it has a similar kind of wheel that you see on 70D and 80D. So in that aspect, it's a nice camera. And even the top dial over here, it has a lock switch, so it will not accidentally change between different modes. And usually the cheaper Canon cameras, they don't have this lock switch. So it is a kind of really nice professionally built camera. It is a weather sealed body. Now I'm gonna talk about for how much price you can get this camera in 2022. So you can actually get this camera for around roughly 200 or 220 US dollar, depending on the condition of this camera. And it would be a really nice price for this camera, because this is a professionally built camera that can take great images. If you are looking for something really cheap which does the job in studio, takes great images, this is a great alternative from Canon. Because when you are using this camera, you don't have to again and again go into menus, because it has like dedicated dials and also the buttons for each and every setting. So should you get this camera in 2022? Well, I would say definitely, if you can get this for around $200 along with the kit lens, it can be a great buy, as I already told you. Even if you are a beginner photographer who likes to put nice photos on Instagram and Facebook, this can be a great camera to start working with instead of Rebel series cameras, because this one has a mic input jack as well. So you can make really nice cinematic videos with this camera and take really nice professional photos as well. And if you are a professional who need a backup body, then definitely you can go for this camera. If you already own, let's say, Canon 80D or 70D and you need a backup body, so this can be a great alternative for you guys. So definitely you can purchase this camera. The images that you will get from this camera and the video that you will get from this camera, after seeing them, no one would be able to say that they are from like a 11-year-old camera and that is like a $200 camera. No one would be able to say that. Alright guys, I hope you like the review. If you have like any question about this camera, you can leave your comment down below. I will answer to them, and you can follow me on Instagram as well. You can reach out to me there. I always reply to each and every one of you. And please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon and give me a thumbs up if you really liked the video, and share the video as well. There is a contest on my channel already going on where I'm giving away 2 DSLRs, so you can check out that. And to win those DSLR, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel and share my videos, and maybe you might be the lucky one who get those DSLR. I would give away those DSLR when I have 5,000 subscribers on my channel. Alright guys, then I will see you in the next video.